Okay, so let's make a start. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to tonight's Crucial Information webinar. Tonight, as you can see from there, we're talking about your first 4 weeks. And this is one of a series of 8 webinars that I run, so I do them pretty much every Wednesday night, probably it takes maybe 9 weeks to do the whole lot because there's maybe one that I miss, but hopefully most Wednesday nights. At the same time, same place. And I cover a number of different things. So the first 3 are really to do with kind of getting started in the business. So getting started, what to do in your first few weeks, building that customer base up of loyal customers who order from you over and over again. Then numbers 4 and 5 are more about sharing this opportunity and building your residual income by sharing it with other people. And then 6, 7 and 8 are really about going to work on yourself. Because this business is really quite simple. Really, when you've learned how to put a catalogue out and pick it back up, how to put an order in, how to post some stuff on Facebook, you kind of know pretty much all that you need to know. But if that was all there was to it, then everybody who joined Kleeneze would be millionaires. And the reality is that although everything that we do is easy to do, it's also easy not to do. And so we also have to work on ourselves. Kind of overcoming fears, maybe a bit worried about this or that, setting goals to drive ourselves to achieve more. It's also important if you want to be successful in this business. So I cover all of those things. They're all recorded, and at the end of this webinar, I'll show you where the recordings are. So if you want to go and watch one of the other ones, you don't have to wait kind of 5 or 6 weeks until we get that one. You can go and watch the recordings anytime. So tonight, we're going to be covering setting and achieving your first goal. I believe goal setting is really, really important in this business. I'm going to talk about a checklist, just a list of things that you should tick off to make sure you do in your first few weeks. And I'm going to give you an introduction to residual income and team building. And the reason I'm doing that is a lot of people join this business and think, yeah, well, I'm really just looking for an extra 50 or 100 pounds a week, so I'll learn how to do the catalogue side, I'll learn how to do the Facebook side, and then I might get into team building a bit later on when I really know what I'm doing. And if you miss out on that team building bit right at the beginning, then that can really slow down your success. You can have so much more success if you share this with people. And it's not like being in a traditional job where you might have to go on a special training course and get extra qualifications. The way this business works is your sponsor will help you. So if you come across somebody who might be interested in earning some extra money and you've got no idea what to say to them or what to do, then your sponsor will help you with that. So I just wanted to give you an introduction to that part of the business as well. Now, one of the things that I would say is, I read a phrase a few weeks ago now that I thought was really, really important, and that is, the purpose of learning is not knowledge, it's action. So your guys are on here tonight, hopefully learning something new, maybe just being inspired or maybe learning some new things to do. But if you just come out of this in the next 30 minutes or so saying, oh, that was nice, I've learned something new, and you just carry on doing what you've always done, then what was the point in you kind of joining in anyway? So what I'd like you to do, and this is why I mentioned about grabbing a notepad and pen, as we're going through this, think about what things are you going to do differently from tomorrow morning after what you've learned from today. Now, if you come to the bottom of it and you say, actually, Chris, I've kind of been this before and I'm doing everything that I thought I should be doing anyway, then fine. But if you do learn some new stuff, please think about how you can put that into action. So let's get started then. So when you first join the business, I'm a really big believer in thinking about what your first goals are. We all join Kleeneze for different things. I've got to admit, I don't remember anybody joining because they had a mad passion to deliver catalogues, but we usually join because we want to change something in our life, earn some extra money, meet new people, get exercise, whatever it might be. So setting your first goal is really, really important because that's what drives you towards kind of the achievement, if you like. And I think it's really important to actually sit down with your family, if you've got a family and your goal affects them, and just share and write down your first goals. And it's really, really important that your first goals are emotional, visual goals. So don't set a goal just to kind of say, well, I'd like to deliver all my catalogs, which is, fine. That's a good goal, because that's a kind of great way to get started. But it should be something that's important to you. It should be an emotional goal. And there are things that you can achieve in the first couple of months. So, that could just be earning an extra £250 so you can treat your kids to a day out. Or it could be earning yourself an extra £500 so you can pay off that credit card debt that you've been worried about for years, or whatever. But don't limit yourself to short-term goals. It's a great idea to sit down with your sponsor and think about, what would I like to do in the next 3 to 9 months or 12 months? And then what would I like to do beyond that, a year or a year plus? And when you're setting those goals, there's a question that you need to ask yourself and work on with your sponsor, which is, what should I be focusing on to achieve that goal? And let me just give you a little bit of a heads up as to what I mean by that. There are two good parts to the Kleeneze business, really. There's the retail part, which is the catalogs and the Facebook, and there's the team building part. Now, just very, very simply, if it's really important for you to earn money now, then you should certainly focus on the retail side. Get your books out, get your Facebook out, do that. Really, that's the most important thing. To be honest, that's really important for everybody anyway, but especially if you're trying to earn money quickly. However, if your goal is, maybe you're looking to top up your pension because you're thinking of retiring in a few years, so you want to build something up gradually, and you're not so worried about the income at the moment, it's more for the next 2 or 3 years. In that case, you might want to put a bigger focus on team building, because that's where your bigger residual income is going to come from. So I've got a quick question I'd like to ask you, and maybe you can give me a little bit of feedback. If you have just joined, then what would you say is your first goal? What would you like to achieve in your first couple of months? And for those of you who've been in the business a little bit longer than that, tell me, what is your goal for you for your next 2 or 3 months? What are your kind of next short-term goals in the business? Anybody like to share anything with us? Oh, Mac, to reach gold, fantastic. So, Mac, what would reaching gold mean to you? What would the extra income allow you to do? Emma, I've got the same question for you. Getting to gold is great, but what would you actually spend the money on? It's the emotional result of having that extra money that is the important bit of the goal. Brilliant. Kids. So what are you going to do with the kids? Take a holiday? Oh, family holiday. A wedding, Tony. Oh, that's good. Excellent. Matt, moving house. Brilliant. Okay, so I can see that now we're starting to think about, the emotional things. If you're kind of living somewhere and you'd really like to move to a better house or a different area or whatever, and that's what it's going to mean to you, and you can start to imagine the new house and where you'd like to live. Emma, saving up for a holiday. Holidays are great goals, because you might have been. There's lots of people who haven't had a holiday for 5 years, and they really just want to be able to treat the kids to a week in Ibiza or something like that, and you start to think about the beaches and the sunshine and how much you're going to enjoy it. So, getting to gold, worry about me. Yeah, Jess, that's good. Really important stuff there. Well done, Hugh. Yeah, I know we've spoken about that a few times. Get to gold. Completing a sign language course. Becky, that's fantastic. Good, good. So great. Hopefully you guys have got a little bit of an idea. I think setting a goal to get to gold is really important, but what you need to do is think about, if you're at gold and you're earning, let's say, an extra £1,000 a month, how would that make you feel? What would you do with that money? What stresses would it remove if you're paying off debt? What fabulous holiday could you go on? And that's what you should be focusing on, not just the kind of the arbitrary figure of getting to gold, which is, we do talk about that a lot. And then once you've done that, there's just a few things to bear in mind. Firstly, be patient. This is not a get-rich-quick scheme. You need to give it a bit of time. You need to take the actions that your sponsor will show you, to take those actions consistently, and your persistence will pay off. You're not going to go down the street and deliver 100 catalogs and find 100 customers. But if you go down the street, deliver 100 catalogs and find 5 customers, and then the next time you find another 5, and then the time after that another 5. Before you know it, you'll have 100 customers, but you need to be consistent and persistent. Yeah, freedom of choice, Max, that's a good one like that. So, the next question you need to ask yourself is, it's all very well having these fantastic goals, but they're all going to take you some time. You need to be able to commit some time to this business. So when you do know your goal, the great thing to do at that point is to sit down with your sponsor, especially if you're not quite sure, especially I'm just thinking these new guys like Tony, for example, people are talking about they'd like to get to gold, and I'm guessing you don't really know what that means. So when you're thinking about goals, make sure you sit down with your sponsor, explain to them what you'd like to achieve, and then plan the activities to achieve it. So if at the moment you're planning to get to gold, and you don't want to do any team building, and you've only got enough time to put 50 catalogs a week out, that's going to take you some time to build that up. Whereas, if you've got 250 catalogs and you're planning to put them out 3 times a week, plus you're planning to team build and build a team, then understanding what activity that will take to get you to gold in the time that you want will make it a lot easier for you to focus on that. You then need to think with your sponsor, how much time will it take me? If I'm putting my catalogs out 3 times a week, it might take me 3 hours to put them out, 4 hours to pick them up, that's 7 hours. Doing that 3 times a week, that could be 21 hours. Another 8 hours delivering orders. We could be talking about 30 hours a week if you're really pushing this. And if you're thinking you were just hoping to fit this in on a Saturday morning once a week, then you need to be realistic about what your goal is and how much time you're going to commit to achieve it. And what's really, really important is just try not to say, and this comes down to the personal development we talked about earlier, try not to say things like, well, I'd love to get the gold, but I just don't have time. Because we all have time. We all have 24 hours in every day. And we all have 7 days in every week. Now, if you're saying you don't have time, what you're saying is, I'd rather be doing something else. Now, that's absolutely fine. If you've got children, if you've got a job that you're fitting this part-time around that, then absolutely, you've got to prioritize this along with the other commitments in your life. But don't say I don't have time. Say, I'm choosing to spend this time with my family. I'm choosing to spend this time in my job. I'm choosing to spend this time watching TV. I'm choosing to spend this time with my mates down the pub. Because then if your goal is really, really important to you and you want to, you can choose to spend some of that time on your business if you want to. And as a result of that, if you are going to do that, you might have to sacrifice something. So it's really important that you realize that just because you've started a new business doesn't mean that all of a sudden someone's going to give you 28 hours in every day so you can find some extra time. You're going to have to sacrifice something. Now, if at the moment you're doing things that you're happy to give up, brilliant. Or if not, as I say, some sacrifices can be a challenge. So you need to be prepared to make that sacrifice if the goal is really important to you. So that's all very well. Setting that first goal is a great start, but how do we actually achieve it? The important thing about achieving goals is to think about what actions you need to take. So you should be trying to focus on the actions, not the results. And what I mean by that is, if your goal was, for example, just to earn an extra £250 at the end of the month, and maybe hitting the 10% bonus level would do that for you. So 10% bonus level means you need to place around about £800 worth of orders in a month. Actually, I think I might have an example of this. Oh, no, sorry. So it might have, for example, trying to place £800 worth of orders in a period, 28-day period. Now, if you start thinking about, oh, how many orders have I got? Oh, no, I've only got £73 worth of orders. I'm still a long way away from 800. Then it becomes really disheartening, and you start to think, oh, crikey, I'll never achieve that. But if instead you think, okay, in order to get £200 worth of orders a week, I need to put out at least 200 catalogues. In fact, if I'm just starting off, I'll probably need to put out 200 catalogues twice a week to achieve that. Now, all of a sudden, instead of worrying about the results, you can focus on your actions. If you're putting out 200 catalogues twice a week, and you set yourself a plan, then you can work on that and you can focus on, did I get my catalogues out this morning? No, okay, then if the goal's important to me, I'm going to get them out this afternoon. Because your goals are achieved by your results. Getting your goal of being able to go on your holiday might be that you get to gold, which is as a result of achieving £9,000 worth of orders in a 28-day period, and those results will come from your actions, delivering orders, delivering catalogues, speaking to people, generating leads, and so on. So I think I've just been over this, but if your goal was, for example, a £1,000 holiday in 6 months' time, then you can work out what you need to do for that. In order to, just ignoring any team building, just on your own, to earn £1,000 in 6 months, you would need to put in about £5,000 worth of orders in those 6 months, just very roughly to give you a bit of an idea. So that's about £800 worth of orders per month. So £800 in orders a month. If you just started, you might think, gosh, that sounds quite a lot. But we know that if you put out 800 catalogues a month, it won't be long before you're hitting £800 worth of orders a month. You probably start off below average, but then, if you keep doing this each month, you will soon be getting more than average. On average, we talk about £1 per catalogue in orders. Most people start off below that, but it doesn't take you long as you build up your customer base to get to 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, £10 per catalogue that you put out when you're delivering to your regular customers. So putting out 800 catalogues a month, break that down a bit, that's 200 catalogues a week. Maybe if 200 on one day is a bit much, then you could put out 100 on the Monday maybe, and 100 on Thursday. And then suddenly, instead of thinking about, crikey, how on earth am I going to find £5,000 worth of orders in the next 6 months? All you're thinking is, can I put out 100 catalogues tomorrow? And that's a lot simpler because you're focusing on the actions that you need to take rather than the results, if you like. So you can focus on what you can control. You can put 100 catalogues out if you want to. Now, anybody can do that. And a really useful tool to help you with that is once you've planned the actions that you need to take, then use a weekly planner to help you fit that around your other commitments. And a weekly planner is nothing more than this, a little chart, Monday to Sunday across the top, morning, afternoon, evening. Block out your other commitments, family, work, anything else like that. And what's left is the space for you to put your business in. And if you know that you want to commit at least 10 to 15 hours a week, then you need to block out that 10 to 15 hours to make sure you're going to put that time into it. And you can draw up a little plan. This is a little bit like the one I did. I'm not going to go through it in all details, but maybe dropping catalogues on a Thursday to pick up on a Monday, dropping some other catalogues on the Friday to pick up on the Tuesday, then after picking up all your catalogues, put your order in on the Wednesday, and so on. So do a little plan there. In this case, I was kind of trying to keep the weekends free. Afternoons, I can't remember now, doing a few other bits, so I tended to do most of my catalogues in the morning. And then evenings is when I would prepare the catalogues for the next delivery. So draw yourself a little plan like that and stick to the plan. It will really provide you with lots of good dividends. So, for those of you who have been in the business just a few weeks now, it's probably difficult for Tony and Becky, I think, who have only just joined, but do you feel now that you've been in the business for a few weeks that you've got a bit of a routine? You know what days of the week you're putting your catalogues out, when you're putting your orders in, that sort of thing? Anybody want to share that with us? It's definitely something worth doing. If you're not doing it yet, I would suggest you have a chat with your sponsor and just you'll find you achieve so much more by planning your time. Okay, so that's the weekly planner. I just wanted to talk a little bit about some things to make sure you do during your first few weeks. And one of the things that I think is really, really important is just to become immersed in this business. There's a 21-day rule that says if you do something every day, it becomes a habit. So if you're doing a little bit of Kleeneze every day, and that could be one day putting your catalogues out, the next day learning something new on Facebook, the next day watching a webinar, then picking catalogues up, then putting an order in. If you're doing something every day, it starts to become a routine, and routines are much easier to keep up than if you sort of try it for a couple of days and then think, oh well, I'm going to take a week off now because I've got some other bits I need to do, and then trying to get back into it after you've been out of the business for a couple of days can really be a challenge. Make sure you've done your weekly planner. As I say, if you're really good at organising your time, you'll probably do this anyway. If you're rubbish at organising your time, then you probably need to do it anyway. Now, another great thing to do, I'm going to explain a bit more about this in a moment, is to make a list of everyone you know. Now, I will come back to that. And actually, this is so easy these days. It used to be a bit of a challenge. You have to go through your old address books and things like that, but this is so easy at the moment. And then the other thing to do, and this is your first 4 weeks, I really talk about the first 30 days as being so important because you're creating your own retail story. Now, what I mean by a retail story is when you've been in the business for your first 30 days and you've hit maybe a bonus and you get a check from head office saying this is how much you've earned in your first full period, your first kind of 30 days or so. And that might be £200, £250, let's say. As you move on in the business and you start sharing the opportunity with people, a couple of years' time, you might be earning £1,000, £1,500, £2,000 a month. You share that with somebody and they say, yeah, that's what you're earning now, but what did you earn when you first started? Because that's what's important to them. And if you can show them your first check, your retail story, if you like, of what you earned when you first started, and that's an extra 250 quid part-time, people will think, oh, well, that would make a difference to me. And if he did it, I'm sure I can do that as well. So it's really important to do that. Whereas if you sort of think, oh, well, I'll just take it easy, my first period, I'm just getting used to it. Second period, I have to take a bit of time off from a holiday. Third period, I'll start building it up a little bit more. And then the fourth period, you finally have a reasonable check to show to people. When people ask you, how did you get on? And you say, well, it kind of took me 4 months to get started. That's, people are not going to be very impressed by that. And you're going to struggle to get them to join your business. So really work as hard as you possibly can in your first 30 days. You get all the free catalogues at the beginning. If you can get a bonus, a cash bonus in your first full period as well, that's really, really valuable to you. So share this with your friends, your family, your neighbours. Present it to neighbours if you know your neighbours on your streets near where you live. Work as hard as you can in your first 30 days because the first 30 days are the most important time in your new business. And I do recommend that you read a book. There's a book that I really recommend by a chap called Don Failer, which is the 45-second presentation. The reason I recommend it, it's a really short book. It's about 90 pages, lots of pictures, big writing. You can literally kind of read it in one sitting. And it's a fantastic introduction. It will really kind of open your eyes to the power of these kinds of businesses. It's not specific to Kleeneze, it's about network marketing businesses, which is what we are. So that's a great thing to do. The other thing, in your first 30 days as well, or your first 4 weeks, I would say, attend as many meetings as you possibly can. So that could be local open evenings, local workshops, regional meetings, trainings that your team runs, little sizzles with your sponsor, going to the showcases. There's the big Birmingham showcase in just less than 3 weeks now. That's a fantastic thing to get to. If you can get to that in your first 4 weeks, that will give you such an amazing start. And also, make sure you contact your sponsor every single day. It doesn't have to be a long conversation, but just a quick chat saying, oh, I just want to let you know I got my first order, or yeah, my catalogues have arrived, whatever it is. Speak to your sponsor every day. You will really reap lots of benefits from that. Okay, I just wanted to give you a bit of an introduction now to a couple of parts of the business that you may not have kind of thought you wanted to get into just yet. And that is, I want to introduce you to residual income. Residual income is income that you are paid again and again, long after the work that you did to earn it has finished. So, for example, a best-selling author, J.K. Rowling, after she's written the Harry Potter books, she wrote those books. I'm sure it was really hard for her when she was doing them, but if she wants to, she would never have to work another day in her life. And the same with, songwriters. Paul McCartney, the Beatles, when they were writing all their #1 hits, again, that's kind of residual income. Now, if you think you've got a #1 hit song that you're just about ready to write, then fantastic. Or if you're about to write the next Harry Potter series, then fantastic. But if not, then I just want to show you a couple of other ways that you can earn a residual income. So one is, and this is something you're all probably familiar with, if you've got some money in the bank, then you can earn interest on it and get some savings. So just a little example here, the interest rates are really low at the moment, but if you could find a good kind of long-term savings plan where you get paid 2.5% interest, if you had £100,000 saved up in there, you'd be earning £208 every single month before you even get out of bed. So that's not bad. 200 quid's not going to sort of let you live in Spain for the rest of your life, but it's money that you've earned every month, long after you did the work to earn the £100,000. So that's a simple way of thinking about it. But you can also do the same thing in our business. And just an example, if you get to the 10% bonus level and you bring some team members in, you share this with people who also get the 10% bonus level. And to get 10%, just to give you an idea for those of you who are quite new in the business, if you're placing around about £200 a week in orders, you'll be earning about £50 a week. So for most people, that's very achievable, quite near the beginning. So if you can do that yourself and find some team members to do the same, then depending on how many team members you've got, you will also get paid a bonus by head office, which is your residual income. So just as an example there, if you had 5 team members doing the same as you, each hitting their own 10% level, your monthly bonus would be £240. So if you just compare that with the two, if you had £100,000 in savings, you'd be earning an extra 208 quid a month. If you had 5 team members, then you're not doing all of the work for them. They're doing their catalogues, their Facebook and so on. But you'd be earning £240 residual income from them. So I want to ask you a question, and that is, what's most likely for you in the next 12 months? That you could save up £100,000, or that you could find 5 people to do what you do? Because it's not a complicated business. How many people have we got here tonight? It's really not difficult to find 5 people over the next few months who could do what you do. And so you're already learning and starting to build a residual income. And if you're not sure how you can find 5 people, well, I'm just going to show you a quick way to make a quick and easy start before you even know what you're doing. First thing is to bear in mind that even if you haven't got a clue what you're doing, your sponsor does. Or even if they don't, their sponsor does. So you will always have help and support. So don't feel you've got to learn how to do all of this on your own before you can even make a start. So to get started, I would suggest you make a quick list of what we call your warm list. This is just a list of 10 people that you know. And this is so easy these days. Go onto Facebook, look at your friend requests. You will find 10 people there that you know. Go to your mobile phone, look at the contacts. You'll find 10 people there that you know. And then for each one, just give them a quick call, send them a text, send them a Facebook message using what we call the third-party approach. And the third-party approach is just really simple. All we say is something like, "Hey, Peter, hope you're well. Sorry for messaging you out of the blue, but I'm just really excited about this new business I've just started. Who do you know who might be interested in some extra money working from home online?" Something like that. Now, that's really simple. You could send that to 10 people in about 10 minutes. And then you will often find that people will then come back to you and say, "Oh, what's all this about then? I might be interested in that." Or, "Well, no, I'm okay, mate, but actually the wife's brother has just lost his job, so he might be interested. Let me get his details out for you." And then just follow up. Those 10 people, just a couple of days later, if you haven't heard anything from them, just send a message to them saying, "Did anybody come to mind?" Again, don't worry too much about the details of this. Speak to your sponsor, because your sponsor has brought you into the business, so they know how to do this. And every day you can add more people to your list. Just keep going through your Facebook friends, your contact list on your phone. You will have 200, 400, 500 people at least, I bet. Now, the most important part of all this is not that you're suddenly going to find 5 people who want to join you in the next 5 days, which is fantastic. You might. Some people do. But what you're doing is you're sowing your seeds, because in amongst all your friends will be people who are thinking, "Oh, I've heard about these work from home businesses. They never really work." And then the next month, when you've got an extra 300 quid and you take the kids to a theme park or something. And then the month after that, when you book your tickets for Disneyland. And then the month after that, when you're booking your hotel for Christmas. And suddenly everyone's thinking, blimey, what's this? All of these holidays and things going on. And they start talking to you about it. And they all start to realize that you've got something that's working really well. And they might not need that money at the time you spoke to them, but everyone's circumstances change. So if they suddenly get their hours cut at work, or they've got a friend who gets their hours cut, or brother-in-law whose wife is expecting and they just need a bit of extra money, you want them to know that you've got an opportunity that they can come back to you about. Okay, so pretty much wrapped up what we were going to cover tonight. So I just want to make sure some of you were not falling asleep. Can you remember at the beginning I talked about 2 different ways to earn money in Kleeneze? Can you remember what I called them? Oi, Mac, wake up, mate, cheeky monkey. Can you remember the 2 ways I said? You're not allowed to go home until I get an answer here, guys. I can stay here all day. Oh no, our teacher used to say that. Yeah, Huel and Jan, retail and residual, very good. Emma, retail and team building. Peter and Myrna, what did I say? Retail and team building, fantastic. Peter and Myrna, you got the top of the class. Well done, guys. But yeah, Huel and Jan, well done, Emma. Now, I also said there are a couple of different ways that you could earn some residual income. You don't have to write the next Harry Potter book. You can do it in a couple of simple ways. What were the 2 ways that I asked you about, or I explained to you, to earn a little bit of extra residual income? Yep, team building, Tony. Bank interest, yeah, well done, Alison. Bank interest and team building. Yep, that's it, guys. Well done. Yeah, £100,000 in savings, or 5 team members doing the same as you, 10% bonus just like you. And then when I said about working towards your goal, which might be £1,000 or might be getting to gold, I asked you to focus on something but not the results. What was it? Activity, says Mac. Yeah, Emma, actions, activities. Very good, guys. Well done. You're all wide awake. I'm pleased to see. Excuse me. Actions. And the reason you focus on the actions is you can control your actions. You can't control the results. So if you start to put 100 catalogues out, you can say, I'm going to put 100 catalogues out. It won't stop me. If it's raining, I'll put my raincoat on. If I've got a poorly leg, I'll do it this afternoon. Whatever it might be, you can control whether you do the actions or not. But you don't have so much control over the results. Okay, guys, I'm pretty much finished for this evening. I just want to wrap up what we covered. Firstly, setting and achieving your first goal. I hope that kind of made sense for a lot of you. Secondly, that checklist of just some things to make sure you do, as I say, speaking to your sponsor, get to local meetings. They're so important. A quick introduction to residual income, a quick introduction how you can start team building straight away. Do you remember at the beginning I did ask you to make a note of what will you do differently tomorrow compared to what you've been doing, if you've been in the business a bit longer? Has anybody got any actions that they're now going to start doing, or that they want to do, that they'd like to share with us? Alison, weekly planning, that's a good one. Thank you. Thank you, Matt. Anybody else got any actions? Anyone else? Yep, weekly planner, Tony. I think that's really helpful. Just doesn't have to be complicated at the beginning. Yeah, starting team building, yes. Speak to your sponsor, Jess, because I think that's just such a great way to build. Yeah, Tony, taking actions. You can't control how many orders you get, but you can control how many Facebook groups you join. So that's a good one, Tony. Excellent, excellent. Well done, guys. Pleased to see some fantastic actions there. Good one, Becky. That'll stand you in good stead when I know you've done this before, so I know you'll have an idea of what to put in there anyway. Okay, guys, so that was number 2. Next week, we're focusing on building your customer base. So I hope you find that useful. Now, as I said, these are all recorded, so if you wanted to look at any of those, if there's anything I went over tonight which was a bit quick, or you want to go back over it again, or you want to watch any of the others, they're all on YouTube. So you can just go onto YouTube, do a quick search for Chris Smith Kleeneze, and you'll find all 8 of them there. So if you want to watch one of the other ones, you don't have to wait for me to get round to it. You can just watch it yourself. And feel free to subscribe to that channel, because then obviously you'll get a notification whenever I add a new video to it. Okay guys, so I'm just about finished for this evening.